Peace was good. You guys read the title. You guys know what I'm talking about. You see in the title, um, my thoughts on the special ed controversy regarding NWA. So, give a little backstory of the video of the controversy. So, special ed, dope MC from Brooklyn, Flatbush to be exact. You guys know for the song "I Got It Made" and "The Mission" and all "Never Go Back." That special ed. He was a guest on Drink Champs, and if you guys are familiar with Drink Champs, that the host DZEFN and Nori, and through the segment of the show, um, Nori would ask the guests, they would ask to choose who would you prefer over said artist, and whatever you do, you have to do a shot, whatever the case may be. I used to watch Drink Champs, but I kind of stopped following it. It got all chaotic, and then he doesn't know how to hold his liquor. He just gets all sloppy, cuts, he interrupts the guest, and that kind of thing, and it's just like really annoying. It's like really hard to watch, so I just stopped watching it. So, but salute to Nori, that's home team right there. He's from Queens. So, now with that being said, so in this aspect, special ed, was asked a question, uh, NWA or Wu Tang. So, um, special ed said, NWA. He said that their music was the destruction, was beginning of destruction for children and for society. I'm just paraphrasing what he said. And Wu Tang is for the children. But he said that he respects NWA as men, but just the music he just didn't agree with. Now, here's my take on that. I totally disagree with special ed. Respect to special ed. I respect him. He's an MC. He's dope. But his career didn't really pan out. Like, he didn't really have that much of a successful career because he just kind of went into obscurity after the second album. The first time I got it made, dope album. I have it. His second album, 1990, Legal, that came out in 1990, which I'm still trying to get my hands on, but that one's mad expensive. That's like his most expensive album. I have his third album, Revelations, is actually my favorite album from him from '95. And then he had an album he dropped that thing back in like 2004. I think it was called Still Got It Made, I think. But that one's kind of hard to find, and I never heard it. So now again, let's not act like violence and all that stuff never came before hip hop. You motherfuckers are starting to sound like C. Dolores Tucker. Like, come on, man. And special ed again. Him being from New York, he's from Brooklyn. He's from Flatbush or the Bush. For my Brooklynites, y'all know what I'm talking about. Because I'm actually from Brooklyn originally. I was born in Brooklyn, but I was raised in Queens. So I was born in Brownsville. East Brookdale Hospital. Lived in East Flatbush, East 18 and Beverly Road. Okay, and over there, East Flatbush, it's mostly pertaining to the likes of like a lot of West Indians. It's a big West Indian community, but over there was a lot of crime too. So with that being said, like him being, and he's Jamaican too, so. And I know a lot of people would making fun of him. Oh, he has Jerry curls. He has Jerry curls. But what people need to special as defense, he's Jamaican. So he's Indo-Jamaican. So his father is black, and his mom is Indian Jamaican. So you guys know the history that what people from India migrated to Jamaica for, I think, like they migrated for like I feel like goods or whatever the case may be. They ended up settling shop there, and then they had children and all that, and especially was part of that whole transition, if you will. So that's why, if you look at his hair, yeah, he has like kind of like that wavy, kind of curly, wavy kind of texture and things like that. So that's why he looks the way he looks, because like I say, he's Jamaican Indian, so they call it Indo-Jamaican, so Indian, Indo, that kind of thing. So that defutes that. So when people say, "Oh, but he's just an NWA," he has Jericho's, and it's because he's Indian. He is of his texture, so that's why. Now that defeats that. Then you had the likes of Exhibit trying to impose harm because of his opinion. Like, bro, Exhibit, come on, man. My nigga, you the same nigga that had tax evasion, that fucking scammed people for the Pimp My Ride, causing them thousands of dollars in debt. So let's not, like, make sure, it's like the saying, don't make sure your house is clean before you criticize people. That's like a Latin saying and things like that. But yeah, anyways, just make sure your house is clean before you criticize people. So that's all I'm saying. Shout out to Exhibit, but you wrong for that one. And my nigga, you from New Mexico, my nigga. Like, you from Detroit, New Mexico. Like, stop it, man. Like, stop it. Loved your first 3 albums. At the Speed of Life, 40 Days, 40 Nights, Restless. But fam, come on, man. Like, stop it. So let's not even go there. So you're not beating nobody up. Just stop Exhibit. Relax. You're just trying to be relevant. So stop it. Now, again, getting back to Special Ed and Flatbush, East Flatbush, even to this day, that shit was crazy. It is known for crime. It's not safe out there. You know what I mean? Like, you had the Shower Posse, the Jamaican crime syndicate that was wrecking shop throughout the East Coast of the United States, in Brooklyn included. And then they were beefing with the Trinidadians, the Guyanese, and the Grenadians out there in Flatbush and all that stuff. So again, that was going on even before NWA in hip hop. That was happening before that. Okay. I'm surprised he don't talk about that, because they were supplying drugs and murder and all that stuff. I don't see no outcry for that. Special Ed. Okay. All the park jams that they did in the park and all that was supplied by the hustlers, by the gang members. But not gang members, but the hustlers, the drug dealers that people looked upon on. Okay? I don't see no outcry for that. Eric B and Rakim, prime example. They're part of the Supreme Team. There's 2 Supreme Teams, by the way. There's one in Queens with Kenneth Supreme McGriff. The whole, that Ja Rule and Irv Gotti got ties to, that the arch enemy of 50 Cent, that kind of thing. Kool G Rap was part of that too, Supreme Team. Okay? The way they dress, if you look at the way they dress on the Paid in Full, the what album? The first 2 albums, Paid in Full and Follow the Leader, they dressed like that because they emulated the hustlers back then in the 80s, because that's how them niggas was dressing. Matter of fact, I'll show you something deep. Okay, let's see. Because hold on. Okay. Oh, sorry. Oops. Take that flash off. Okay. Everybody's seen this picture before. So this is the back of Paid in Full. So right there, this gentleman right here, that's 50 Cent. That's the original 50 Cent. That's the stick-up kid that they actually did a documentary. I have that DVD. He's the one that robbed L Cool J for his chain. That's Ant Live. That's Eric B's brother. I think he passed away. He was actually on the song what's that song on the Money in the Bank? That's on Money in the Bank. Yeah, he was on that joint. Eric B. That's rap. That's one of the leaders of the Supreme Team. He died. He ended up dying, I think, 3 years ago due to COVID. That's Killer Ben. That's the guy that robbed Biggie and Faith Evans. Rakim. Kool G Rap. And then Supreme Magnetic. That's the main honcho of Supreme Team. That's Rap's brother, but he's not in the picture. Oh, and Freddie Fox is part of that too. Okay, so look how they dress. That's how the hustlers dressed. And then with Eric B, he again, he wasn't much of a DJ. He was like more like the money man. He supplied the money for the whole group. I mean, for the duo and stuff like that. And then Coogee Rap had his issues with the whole team because, like, that whole situation that he got ran out of New York is because, I don't know, some street beef that he had going on, and then that made him, he actually left New York City. He actually went upstate to record 456. He got into some beef, with his whole crew and whatever the case may be. So they were out. They had a price on his head, and also why he went to Arizona for the Roots of Evil to record that album. So just had to throw. Okay. Sorry. All right. Yeah. Okay, so that's what the Eric B. and Rakim. Yes, the shit they would talk about, the supreme mathematics and all that stuff, but they were killers and hustlers, man. So how is that? Nobody talks about that. Let's go to another source, right? Let's go with my man KRS-One. That Criminal Minded. Scott La Rock, KRS-One. What do you see there? Got guns, ammunition, all that. Hardcore hip hop, gangster rap. KRS-One himself says that he doesn't consider that to be a gangster rap album. I disagree, because to me, ever since what's his name, Scott La Rock got killed, that's when he changed his whole steez with that whole he changed his whole steez because, like I said, the Criminal Minded album was like straight gangster, but then after the first album he did, the By Any Means Necessary, and that's when he got all like more political. He got more positive, more conscious, and that kind of thing. Okay, we got the song "The Bridge Is Over." Okay, Roxanne Shante is only good for steady fucking. So Roxanne Shante at the time was in her mid-teens. She was like 15, 16 when he dropped that song. Because The Bridge Is Over came out in 86. The album came out in 87. Okay? Let's see what else. The remix for The P is Free, where he talks about prostitutes trading sex for crack. Where she said, if you're giving me a lift while we debate, you should jump on my back here where we stop. She said, right around the corner to the crack spot. If you buy me a crack, I'll know how to act. Okay? That's the remix is the remix for P is Free. Okay? Then you got the song Superho, where he talks about Scott La Rock being a gigolo. Okay? The first album. So again, why was that not mentioned? And keep in mind, that was 87. Straight Outta Compton came out in 88. He talks about that. Failed to mention that, people want to defend Special Ed, but again, and I'm a New Yorker. I'm New York to the bone, Crystal. Nobody talks about that though. But like I said, ever since Scott La Rock got killed, that's when KRS-One changed his whole tune. And now he's all conscious and all that. He's more, all that stuff. So before that, he was gangster rap. He was a gangster rapper. Also, you had Just Ice, another gangster rapper who was, had ties with KRS-One, Schoolie D, Ice-T, gangster rappers. Okay. Now, let's get into Wu-Tang. People say Wu-Tang's for the children. I don't know about that. I love Wu-Tang, I'm a Wu head, but nah. That first album alone is straight street gangster shit. Let's go with the song "Can It All Be So Simple" now, right? My guy Ray Corn unearthed. We're on genius.com, so "Can It All Be So Simple." So at the end of this verse, he was saying that, so if you're filthy stacked up, better watch your back and dub, because these fiends, they got it cracked up. Now my man up from up north, now he got the live. It's solid as a rock, crazy saw. No jokes, I'm not playing. Get his folks, Desert Eagle, his dick and put him in the yoke. And to know for sure, I get wrecked and rip shop. I pointed a guy at his mother's not. Yo, we don't do this shit. Fuck that. End up shotting the mom. Okay? Then, the whole thing dedicated to the winners, dedicated to all the Jeeps and Land Cruisers. That's the SUV from Toyota. Can't be all so simple then. Dedicated to the 5s and the 850i's. Talk about the Beamers, the BMW, the 5 Series and the 850i's. The 850i, that's the if you guys seen the video for pink cookies in a plastic bag, getting crushed by buildings, that is the 850i, 840 sports car by BMW. That's the one that LL Cool J when he was in the car, this boy picked him up in the car, and then he left to go on the bus in the video. That's the 850 840i. Okay, dedicated to the niggas who do drive-bys. Oh yeah, Wu-Tang is for the children. Yeah, and ironically, MC8 is in the video. Yo, that's crazy, yo. Come on, man. But Wu-Tang's for the children? Come on, fam. You can't, you don't. What are you saying, fam? And then the song Cream. Come on, man. Just pretty much talk about getting that money, man, by any means necessary. So usually when people say that, it means not in a positive, sometimes not in a positive way. You could flip that and be like, yo, do what you gotta do as long as you don't hurt nobody. But at that time in the 90s, man, niggas was trying to get money. And it was bad times in New York at that time. It was really dangerous, okay? So that whole thing that, NWA is and I'm gonna get to the NWA. The NWA is the beginning of destruction. Is all bullshit because again, all that shit started off before NWA. And now let's get into NWA, right? If you guys know, NWA at first was signed to McCullough Records. Everybody knows about the album NWA and the Posse, which is a compilation album. It's not their first album. I have to stress that. Reason why it's not their first album is because at the time they were under McCullough Records. At the time, McCullough Records was the distributor for LA Rap at that time period. So it was also a one-stop shop. With McCullough Records, that record labels where like if you see somebody, a Joe Smo that rapped, if the record label owner, I forgot his name, but it was a Canadian dude, if I'm not mistaken. He ended up he was the type of dude like if you spit him a freestyle, you like what you heard, or if he had a demo, or the case may be, he gave you a record label. He gave you a deal on his record label, and that's how that came out. But he would press up that particular song into vinyl sales and things like that. So that's how that worked. That was like a one-stop shop deal. So that was the deal with that, and that was the case with NWA. Again, with NWA, that album, NWA and the Posse only had 6 songs by NWA. If you spread it out. Because you had songs with Eazy-E, and DOC was not part of NWA. He was part of the Feel Like Fresh crew. DOC was more an affiliate of NWA. He was never really part of NWA. He was just like an affiliate, you know what I mean? But he had close ties to NWA. Again, going back to Special Ed, I hate to say this, and me being from New Yorker, a lot of New Yorkers are very biased. When I used to get mad when people say, "Oh, New Yorkers are biased," but in this case, they're kind of right on this part because what people need to understand, LA, the gang culture, is what it is. That's the gang culture. If you guys know about the Bloods and Crips, that was influenced by the Black Panther Party. You know what I'm saying? Because the Crips, actually have the article. If I'm not mistaken, the CRIPS stands for Community Resources for Independent People. So, in other words, that was the acronym for CRIPS. And I just had to look that up real quick. But with that, the whole point of the CRIPS was like to police the neighborhood. that kind of thing, to avoid police brutality. Because you guys know about the Watts riots and all that stuff and things of that nature. But then later on, that's when it got out of control. Because before that, there was no Bloods. I think the Bloods came from the Crips, and then they started their whole steez, and then that's how they came about that. So, um, again, and then there's an article that I found last night, which I'll post in the description box, to where there was a guy from South Central, where Ice Cube is from, where there was a kid, and this was like in the '80s, by the way, where he said that they would have like police officers going around patrolling the neighborhood, asking random kids, teenagers, by the way, young kids, asking them, have you ever been to jail? When we tell them no, they'll take you behind their car, take your mugshot, take your fingerprints, and let them go. Is that not police brutality or police abuse? Abuse of power? So I don't blame, and that was common. That was very common back then. LAPD was known for doing shit like that. Could you imagine you being 13, 14, you getting extorted by cops, asking you, have you ever been to jail? You said no, and just to fit the quota, just to fill their quota. Now you have a record now that, like, you can never get a decent job. You have a felony. Like, that's crazy to me. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's fucked up. So I don't blame NWA for making the song "Fuck the Police." I don't blame them for doing that, because of shit like that. I don't blame them. And last time I checked, hip hop was about expressing yourself. The song "Express Yourself" was just that. Expressing yourself. Now I'll take it even deeper. So after McCullough Records, NWA left McCullough Records because they weren't making any money. So Eazy-E founded Jerry Heller. They ended up becoming Ruthless Records. They left McCullough, went to Ruthless, and because of that, that's how the NWA and the Posse album came about, because NWA, like I said, wasn't making any money from McCullough Records, and out of spite, McCullough Records made NWA and the Posse as a cash-in. So it makes it seem like that's their first album, but it's actually a collection of songs that they did. Because honestly, they only did like 6 songs on that album, and the rest is like other people like Micah 9. Well, his name was Microphone Mike, but he ended up becoming Micah 9 later on. Then you had to Feel a Fresh crew, and then other people on that record label and things like that, and to cash into their brand. So that's how that came about. And then you had Straight Outta Compton, you had Soul Like Gangsta. You pretty much, that album pretty much spoke on what was going on in LA at that time. They're just being news reporters. I don't see nothing wrong with that. They're not telling you to go kill people. They're just speaking on what's going on. It's harsh. Living in the hood is harsh. You live in the slums. That's no way to live, but people have to live through that. That's what they were talking about. But when people say stupid shit like, "Oh, NWA is the cause of destruction," that shit's been going on for years, before hip hop. And then you got people like C. Dolores Tucker going against like Ross Perot and Bob Hope, and C. Dolores Tucker going against hip hop and all that. Fuck that bitch, by the way. Like Lil' Kim says, C. Dolores T, I screw her. I never knew her. You know what I'm saying? And then Tupac, on the song Wonder Why They Call You Bitch, he took shots at C. Dolores Tucker towards the end of the song. Because that song, he had to explain himself, like, you're not calling all women bitches, you're just talking women that act like that. You know what I mean? That like act like hoes and all that shit. He has respect for. He grew up with women, so how can he like? I don't even want to get into that. Again, C. Dolores Tucker, this is the same person that actually got fired as Secretary of State back in the 70s in Philly. Cause she's from Philly originally. Got fired because she was getting paid for speeches that she didn't write herself. She would pay people in the lobbies to write for her, and she got credited for that, and she got paid for that. Talk about dishonest. Let me talk about that though. Right? Again, NWA, like I said, they were kind of they're the kind of people, again, they were expressing themselves. That's it. They were speaking on what was going on in the hood of LA. That's what was going on. But people from the East Coast didn't understand that because they didn't have gangs, they had crews. But it goes back to what I said before. Y'all criticize the West Coast, but y'all do the same thing. It's just the whole different. It's just the wardrobe is different. Y'all made fun of people wearing Jerry curls, but like niggas, like, now granted, in the 80s in New York, again, I was born in 87, so, but just OGs that I've spoken to in the past, that, niggas in New York brought Jerry curls, but that was more on like the R&B cats that was doing that shit. The R&B cats was doing the whole Jerry curl thing. You know what I mean? You had like some of the earlier rappers wearing Jerry curls, like the Curtis Blows and people like that. Um, but then I think by like 85, 86 is like that's when the whole high top fade craze went on. You started seeing people with the high top fade and things like that around 86, 87. You know what I mean? So this is the same thing. It's just the only difference is the wardrobe. That's it. Because in LA, niggas had the Jerry curls and things like that, and then on top of that, gangster rap did in the West Coast. I mean, yeah, you had the likes of Ice-T. He started doing his own thing, but he was more of a dance. He did like the more electro rap, that type of thing, like the like Egyptian Lover, like he was in like in that vein, in my opinion, around that time, in like in the early '80s, like breaking and all that. That's another thing too. They had Arabian Prince, who was part of NWA, who was more on the electro rap type of thing, because that was a style of West Coast hip hop at that time. It was up until the mid to late '80s. Shit, Wrecking Crew. That's what I'm saying. Now, with NWA, I'm gonna go even deeper with this. Without NWA, a lot of artists today would not have they wouldn't have the careers they have today. Let's break it down. Without Ruthless Records, there would be no Death Row Records. There would be no Aftermath Records. Eminem probably would not have the career they had today. Because if you guys remember, at one point, Eminem was supposed to sign to Duck Down Records, but I think at that time, Duck Down Records, they didn't want to take the chance of signing a white rap because of their reputation at the time. 50 Cent wouldn't have the career he has today. I just gotta keep it real. I just gotta be a buck. I keep it a buck with that. That was all under the Ruthless Records tree, in my opinion. That's another thing too. Easy E was such a smart dude. He was such a dope business person that people don't really give him props for that. Like him being Ruthless Records, being part of being the owner of Ruthless Records. Again, just the people he had under him as far as like under Ruthless Records. I mean, you had the likes of let's look at